Also in Washington, breaking news this hour from Capitol Hill. House Republicans pulled another all-nighter to lobby support for the big, beautiful bill, and it worked. A little while ago, they voted to pass their multi-trillion-dollar tax break package. Speaker Johnson and President Trump were able to sway enough of the Republican holdouts to accept the last-minute changes to the proposal that is central to the Trump agenda. The House voted to accept the bill by the slimmest of margins, 215 to 214, with the Democrats united in their opposition. The next step for the bill, it heads to the Senate. But right now, we want to bring in Scripps News Deputy Political Director Joe St. George, who is on Capitol Hill following these stories for us with a little bit more. So, Joe, what exactly played out when it comes to passing this bill, and what are Republicans saying now?
Well, I would describe what unfolded here for people streaming along with us here on Scripps News as being halfway through the Kentucky Derby, right? Yes, there's some celebration. Yes, there's excitement. But at the end of the day, Republicans still got another halfway to go on Capitol Hill, and that's getting this bill through the United States Senate. But to be clear, this is a morning of victory for the Trump White House, for the president himself, who personally lobbied lawmakers in the last 24 to 48 hours. The president came to Capitol Hill, invited members who were on the fence to the White House yesterday regarding this piece of legislation. And as you said at the top there, Stephanie, it worked. 215, 214 to 1. If you're wondering where the 1 was, one member of Congress actually fell asleep and missed the vote because it was such an all-nighter here on Capitol Hill. Can't blame him. Now, Speaker Johnson didn't need that vote, it turns out, in the end. But that just gives you a sense of how much work has been happening here in Washington, with impacts every corner of the country. As we've been reporting all week, it's difficult to find an American who's not impacted in some way by this bill. It makes Medicaid changes, requiring work requirements for some, not all, on Medicaid. So if you or a loved one has Medicaid, and north of 70 million Americans do, one of the things you're going to be figuring out in the coming days and weeks is if this bill passes the Senate and gets to President Trump's desk, maybe by July 4th. That's the goal for Republican lawmakers. Are you going to need work requirements going forward? That will be a question millions of Americans will be asking. Exemptions will exist, but this is certainly a provision that's worth following. As far as everyone's pocketbook and their wallet, and that's part of the story as well. No taxes on tips for service workers, new Trump savings accounts for newborn children, tax liability changes for older Americans, a number of campaign promises in there, as well as other nuggets that were inserted to get this across the finish line, such as no taxes on silencers, no taxes, the elimination of a tax on tanning beds. I mean, we would have to do an hour or 2 hour special, I think, to truly dissect everything that's in this 1,000-plus page piece of legislation. Speaker Johnson spoke on the floor of the House of Representatives prior to the vote. Take a listen.
Unified control of government is a rare mandate. It doesn't happen very often. It's happened just 3 times for our party in the last half-century. We do not take it for granted. And we are delivering on that mandate here today. The American people gave us a mandate in November. They sent a message with their vote. They gave this side of the aisle the power, and we're going to use it to make their lives better.
The bill is officially called One Big Beautiful Bill. That's good marketing because it forces us journalists to say that so frequently. But for Democrats, it's one big ugly bill. One estimate from the Congressional Budget Office estimates that it will add $2.4 trillion to the national debt over 10 years. New analysis out within the last 24 hours shows that that may trigger cuts to Medicare. Again, this bill doesn't cut Medicare, but because this bill adds so much to the national debt, it may cause automatic sequestration cuts to Medicare under existing rules. Republicans could always change those rules, but that's part of this debate as well. Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, spoke about this legislation.
This is one big, ugly bill that House Republicans are trying to jam down the throats of the American people under the cover of darkness. This legislation will not make life better for the American people. The GOP tax scam represents an assault on the economy. an assault on health care, an assault on nutritional assistance, an assault on tax fairness, and an assault on fiscal responsibility.
Members of Congress telling Scripps News Group after the vote that President Trump was instrumental in really getting this across the finish line. Stephanie Liebergen now will follow this debate as it moves to the Senate throughout the month of June.
Joe St. George, our Scripps News Deputy Political Director, breaking down what has happened thus far. But as you mentioned, there is still a long way to go for this bill, with an entire different chamber of senators who will likely continue to make changes to this legislation as they try to move it forward. Joe, thank you so much.